Today we're starting back up an old project, my 78 Sea Lark. Picked this up from a coworker who thought maybe that's a little bit of a project, and he's got a much nicer boat now. So I got the 78 Sea Lark. I already added the T-top and the leaning post, and I last worked on this just before Hurricane Ian. Took it out of the driveway so it wasn't sitting here for the hurricane, tucked it in back. And it's sat there since, so that's over a year. In that time, tire's gone flat. See that? Let's check this thing out. So it's a 22-foot Sea Lark Gulfstream. It was made in Isla Mirada. It has a, don't believe the cowling, that's a 235 horsepower Evinrude on it. There, 235 TRLC. So that is an automatic tilt trim, 235 horsepower, 2.6 liter two-stroke. That was a beast back in the day. They called it the 235, and that is why I look forward to taking that thing off. I have a newer motor that I will tell you about a little later, but first we're gonna get this off. Before I mount the new motor, I am going to paint the transom black because the whole boat's gonna go black from the rub rail down. And then I have been collecting parts from pretty much dumpster diving and getting stuff cheap and calling in favors from friends. And I think it's time we can make some impact on this big boat. I bet it would be awesome out in the water. It's kind of a bay boat, kind of a deeper water. It's got a big bow on it. Let's get going. Let's get the cowling off. I'm gonna get a little gas in this thing. Fire it up one last time before we take it off. Oh, nope, that's my Yamaha. Let me try again here. Watching that, I'm sure you're wondering, man, why would he take that 235 off? Well, those old two-strokes are stubborn. What I've already done on this boat is a new gas tank, and then I rebuilt the whole gas tank floor above it. Floor panel right here, I pulled that out. I took all the old wood out of it, hot coated some plywood, put it in there, rebuilt it and got it in. The gas tank is new, and it's a poly tank. I strapped it in, foamed it. I have built a extension to go on the top of that because it's not 1978 anymore. People like to have, you know, electronics. Back then we just had a tack and a couple gauges, shifter, and even, you know, the old GPS north, south, east, west. So I'm gonna get rid of that, get rid of the cable steering, and we're gonna bring this 1978 into the future, or recent present, and get that thing out on the water. I have a feeling it is gonna be an awesome boat. The hull is only 2,100 pounds. That's less than most bay boats. Big fishing deck up front, storage, get a cushion on here. I'll redo the electronics and the e-box door. I have to get a canvas and then hang that new motor on the back here. Steps is taking this one off, so I'm gonna get this cowling off. We're gonna disconnect the battery cables, the wiring harness, steering, and the throttle and shift aren't hooked up right now, so that saves us a little work. Nice easy Evinrude disconnect. Battery cable here, ground there, positive ground. Wiring harness is right here. And then that should be it. How do I say my boat's old without saying my boat's old? Check this out. Flat head screws. Gotta just disconnect this wiring harness right here. That's the trim harness. So I'll get these out of here, and then that motor is free to take off. Still got the diagram in it. How neat is that? Look how old this thing is. So that fits on here. Okay. Look at these thumb screws. Oh yeah, get her sealed up in there. Push it in and screw it. That's hilarious. Everything's disconnected except for the 4 bolts that hold it to the transom. But before I go take those off, I want to point something out if any of you are doing this. So this is a 20-inch shaft motor. Pick up. So this is 20 inches. So the transom measurement's going to match. Generally from your top bolt to here should line up with your cavitation plate. Should be 20 inches for this transom. Now, it's hard to believe that a 235 horsepower motor was a 20-inch shaft back in 1981. The motor's in 81, boat's a 78. But it is, and luckily the motor I sourced is also a 20-inch shaft because you can see that this transom is incredibly short. But the boat only rides in, 8 inches of water there. One big thing to note, this thing is sitting right onto here, but it's in the second bolt hole here. There's a bolt hole on the motor there and a second one here. And actually goes down pretty low here. Let's look at the other side. Obviously they're even, but here you can actually see the top hole, and our bolt is in the second hole. And then bottom hole on this one. That doesn't matter so much, but we're gonna be probably looking to reference this second hole measurement. I believe the other motor is gonna be the same, but the big thing we need to watch is that you line the bottom of your hull up with this cavitation plate. They got to be even. If your motor steps back, you can come up about an inch every 12 inches back, but generally speaking, you want it straight across here. You can see this one almost seems a tad low, but it's pretty good. I think we're just looking at a couple angles. Boat's leaning back a little bit, motor's leaning forward. All right, if we have to access our bottom transom bolt holes from the inside, which they may be sealed up tight enough that we can just get them with the nuts on the, we're gonna have to go in this compartment here, because you can see top bolts, floor. The lower bolts are lower than that. That's pretty common in most. So I just wanted to do this with you, sift through this garbage, try to get to this hatch. I'm curious what kind of mysteries we'll get out of there. Have to get the old screwdriver door opener. Look at that nice seal of pine garbage. That is actually not too sketchy. A little bit of muck back there by the drain hole. Look at that. Pretty clean. An old Atwood. I like this. They got the 1-inch pipe. Oh, that's semi screwed down there. They got the 1-inch tube going up to this tiny little outlet. Engine's off. One of the more amazing things is that this transom's still solid. Whoever put the bolts in, they actually siliconed them. They're 5200 and them really good. So it was totally sealed. This thing is rock solid. Can't believe it. That's pretty much the reason I agreed to buy this boat from my friend. I told him, I said, I'll take it as long as the transom's solid and there's no holes in it. So that is working out great. The old 235 is off. I might have a side project for this. If it doesn't pay good enough to sell it to one of these outboard motor guys, I'm probably going to take the power head off of this and then try to find a way to shoehorn it into my Polaris RZR. Because this is a 2.6 liter, 235 horsepower 2-stroke. You imagine what that thing would sound like? It's liquid cooled. I could just throw an electric water pump on it, run it through the radiator. Exhaust would be a little bit, build a flange for that. The main thing I'm concerned about is the carburetors are opposite of the piston, or of the heads. So they'd be on the bottom, or I'd have to run the motor on its side or something. I don't think that's a huge deal as long as the carburetors have the fuel, the float bolts to the bottom, or I change that somehow, maybe went a 4-barrel on it. And then I would just have to run the output shaft on the motor to a jack shaft and to the primary clutch on the RZR. Could be a sweet little project. But enough about that. Now we've got a blank canvas again. Like I said, before I do anything with putting the new motor on, I want to I'll probably have to take my step back off. That I believe it or not, I put that on new before Hurricane Ian. So a year ago that was brand new. I mean, it's still nice, but it just the mildew that grows here, because everything just stays moist all the time because we're in the Florida rainforest, I guess. I'm probably only going to paint down right now. Well, I might paint all the way down on the back. I am going to redo that green on the bottom. I don't think I'm going to paint black all the way on the whole bottom of the boat, but maybe I'll bring the black all the way down the sides and then just leave the bottom flat green. Yeah, I'll probably do that. I'll bring it all the way down to that bottom chine and then up just like it goes there. And then later on, I'll lift the boat and just redo the bottom green. Look at the shape of that thing. Timeless. I'll insert some pictures from when I first got this thing. It was bare bones, just a center console, no leaning posts, no T-top. Had the 235 on it. I did rebuild the carbs on that, replace the starter, and I did get it running, but it is just a stubborn pig. I think that the eBay starter I got for it just doesn't have enough juice, because I was hooking it up to the truck and jumping the starter straight. It just wasn't doing it. Thanks for staying if you've made it this long. This boat's going to be a big project, and I plan to keep videos coming. If you watch my channel, I make 2 to 3 shorts a day, so I have no problem keeping content coming. And this project I've been saving parts for a while, so I should be able to kind of have consistent builds going on and keep things coming for you. I don't know what's up with this janky plastic steering wheel. Just so you know, this awesome project, this boat's already earned its name. That's why it's going black. I present you Darth Vader. Get it? Darth Vader. All right, thanks for stopping.